So a few weeks back, I read a quote and it read, "Some days you're going to feel like God loves you, and some days you have to know that God loves you." And if you don't know what that means, um, simply put, it could be that um, some days good things are happening, right? And great things are happening for you. And I believe that God loves to do good things for his people. But ultimately, it's not just happiness that is goal cause for our lives, really. It's not to make us happy or comfortable. It's to that we glorify him and worship him, and we could um, get out of us the most of us. So there are some days when we're really going to feel good and feel like, okay, God loves me. And I feel like that's a human purpose of it, that when good things are happening, definitely God loves you. And I think because that's how the world operates, we also think when bad things are happening, what did you do? God doesn't love you. Where is your God? People begin to ask all the negative questions. But the truth of the matter is that God's with us in the good times and in the bad times. But I think that because we're very human at heart ourselves, there'll be days when we feel like God loves us, and there are days when we'll have to know that God loves us, and we'll have to remember his word and his truth and his promises. Take it for instance, maybe you have a sick somebody and you're praying over them to get healed, right? And sometimes you have the miracle of them getting healed, and you see them come up to themselves again and be great in their life, in the world, and show up as them in the best way possible. But sometimes they die, and you've prayed and you've done everything right. So in that moment, it will be, I think, a moment that will call for us to remember God loves us. And how do we know that his son died on the cross himself and he still managed to do that and do it well? Okay, so yeah, there'll be moments when we'll have to remember God loves us, and people dying, our loved ones dying, is one of those moments that we have to remember. So yesterday, I had a day where I had to know that God loves me because I was not feeling like God loved me, and because I was going through a moment in a situation and something was happening. But I had to remember that God loves me, and I spoke to God throughout the day, and through His Word and prayer, and really just conversing with Him and sharing my heart's desires and my regrets, and also just like going through what I would have done better or done right. And yeah, but then later that evening, I'm laying down on my bed and I'm watching a movie. But then my Bible app on my tablet reminds me and says, pause, spend some time with God. And I didn't check my Bible app yesterday. And I checked, so I'm just like pumped to like, okay, let me check what would it cost to stop the movie and just check for a minute. And I check, and the verses that come up, I'm like, okay, God, you do see me, you do hear me. And guess what? That's the same Bible verse that everybody in the world received if they're on the Bible app. But for me, it was like tailor-made for my situation and my day. So that's, I think, how that sometimes we're going to have to look through life and look at it and get the most out of it. And so in those days when you feel like God doesn't love you, he does, more often than not. I'm sorry if my videos look a little unprofessional. I remember somebody corrected me about my Monday video and told me it just looks unprofessional. You have something great to say, but it was not good enough. So I'm sorry, I was tired, but also I don't have my stand or my ring light with me. So I promise to do better with lighting and positioning and all that stuff, and charisma and power and energy and all that stuff. Yeah, I hope to do better. But I pray. I hope you do subscribe, like, share the link, and stay notified by turning on your post notification bells. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.